The strip mining of the American economy continues with enormous assistance from Donald Trump and his administration. Trump regulators across the financial regulatory system are getting together and working to, this time, to disable the Volcker rule. Now, what they are really doing is disabling something that was a compromise to begin with. The Volcker rule, remember, a bipartisan group of politicians repealed the Glass-Steagall Act in the 1990s that helped contribute to the financial disaster of 2008. Now, rather than just bring back the Glass-Steagall Act, which kept consumers' money in the banking system away from the gambling that bankers like to do with our money in order to make themselves rich, knowing that we will bail them out if they fail. And instead of just bringing back that clear wall between the two sides, they created something called the Volcker Rule at the suggestion of a former Federal Reserve Chair, Paul Volcker. Now, yes, it's a little complicated. It takes a little work on the bankers' part, but the banks have the money. Trust me, they can go along with the Volcker rule. Nevertheless, Trump-appointed regulators are now very busy dismantling it. They are saying that the reasons they need to do it is because it places a quote-unquote undue burden on the banks. Now, how much of a burden is it? Not much. You just have to hire a few lawyers to make sure you're complying with the rules. But that brings up the money. Maybe our poor banks don't have the money to hire a few more lawyers. Could that be? Oh, well, let's take a look. Oh, banks were already having a record year in profits, with profits in the first quarter of 2018 soaring 28% to $56 billion in one quarter. Sounds like they would have the money. And then Trump put in the Trump tax cuts. That gave just the nation's 6 largest banks another $3.6 billion in additional income last quarter. And even if the tax cut hadn't passed, these banks would have had record profits of $48.6 billion. So is it really an undue burden to ask them to comply with the rule that was a compromise to begin with because their lobbyists made sure that Congress did not pass a new Glass-Steagall Act? Obviously, Dodd-Frank hasn't hurt, the financial bill that was passed hasn't hurt profits. Obviously, the Volcker rule hasn't prevented them from making money. In fact, I would argue that they are putting the entire financial system in jeopardy with their reckless behavior, that there is no way on earth that we should allow them to become more reckless. So there is a very, very simple solution to all of it. 1, break up the big banks. 2, nationalize them if possible. 3, very, very simply, a new Glass-Steagall Act.